And lots are lined up for you this morning as we take a look at the politics of the weekend, the state of nation in general, of the nation that is, as we look at just how and where it is that we are, what trajectory we are taking. The COVID-19 vaccine hits the country tomorrow. Just what does this mean? Even as we know very well that, most of the African countries have not been able to get this. Well, the rich nations across the globe are taking advantage or are getting the advantage of the vaccines that are at hand. I mean, the Ministry of Health are giving outlines on just how best this is going to be administered, as we cross fingers that indeed this is going to come in handy to help us, curb the virus. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll be having our team on ground to follow up, just get to know what plays out in regards to this. But then again, unfortunately, to realize that, well, we have put the guard down and we tend to forget that it is important that we take care of ourselves. So as they would say, aside from the fact that we have the vaccine coming on board, it is important that we still maintain the measures that have been set to deal with COVID-19. The numbers now shooting up, really unfortunate. And that means then we need to go back to the drawing board, ask ourselves, what is this that we're not doing right, so that we can get ourselves to that point where we were at, to avoid a scenario where we're going to get a third phase of COVID-19 in the country. We'll be discussing that and much more in regards to the politics of the day, as we expound some more on other things. Today we focus on your teeth also. It's very important that you understand how best you can take care of it. If you have complications, then how do you deal with them to avoid a scenario where the situation is going to get worse. So welcome on board as we look forward to all this and much more. Like I said, my name is Linda Alela. We kickstart the program right now. As always, we have the papers, we have the stories compiled by my team, and importantly, we have a great team that helps me out to, expound and decipher these crucial topics that we are discussing. So before we get to the discussions of the day, briefly, what the newspapers have in store. The People Daily, as always, the Standard newspaper, and the Daily Nation, most of the newspapers that we have, and a couple of other newspapers will always go through that. We take a look at what is happening on the international scene and so much. So, front page of the Daily Nation, exam crisis over missing candidates. Well, this is pretty much unfortunate. Where are they? Hundreds of students will not write their KCPE or KCAC national examinations because they dropped out of school at the 11th hour now. Head teachers cannot account for those who failed to report back in October. This is a story captured on page 8 and 9, speaking volumes of the unfortunate scenario in education sector. Well, most of the times we've had stories that are pegged to that, but a majority of these stories have been negative stories. We would love to know where these candidates are. We would love to have our children go back to school, but just what has informed this? Well, we delve deep into that later on. 751,150 this year. Some 1,187, 517 candidates have registered for KCPE, and about 7,501, 150 for KCAC. Now, it was not possible to get official numbers of missing candidates from the Education Ministry, but reality is that they are there. This has been said by Professor George Magoha, who's the CS for Matters Education. We'll be looking at that, and we just understand what it means, and even at a point when we're trying to incorporate a new system of education. That is the biggest story. Before we get into the politics of the country, a story here. What's all the fuss about Bobi Wine's car, asks Kenyan seller. That's a story also captured on page 3 of the Daily Nation. And well, different reports in regards to that, and also some of these things that are equated to probably the battles that he's been having with the boss of Uganda, that is President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And is a story captured here. In the event that you'd love to know more about that, you can always grab a copy of the same. Back to the front page, and Firirida, composer, has nothing to celebrate yet as new craze sweeps through the country. Dick Munyonyi has only sad thoughts. That's a story captured on page 3. Pretty much unfortunate. You understand the Firirida tune that many have danced to, and so you can always get to know that story as we proceed. To matters politics, Raila's new dilemma on constituencies. Can ODM leader Raila Odinga really deliver on a promise to dish out constituencies beyond those allocated in the BBI document. A story captured on page 5 in regards to matters politics. We'll expound some more on that. We'll have a comprehensive talk on matters BBI. We definitely look at, the hustle for votes that is on the by-elections that are slated for Thursday this month. And importantly, we also look at just what it is that plays out in State House, and what it is that is left of the presidency. And most importantly, what then the political scenarios are here would mean for us. And all this will be looking at land compensation. Was a gravy train. The public may have lost about 14 billion in suspicious payments authorized by the National Land Commission in shady deals, while the Auditor General's report and a story captured on the back page. This in regards to matters graft. Just how best can we be able to deal with this is one thing that we've been asking constantly and continues to be asked. On the Standard newspaper, 1 million COVID-19 vaccines to arrive in Nairobi. That is Tuesday, tomorrow. And priority of the populations that are set to get these: healthy workers, security personnel, teachers, people with underlying health conditions, and other vulnerable groups are among the first people to get this. This is according to Cabinet Secretary for Matters Health, that is Mutahi Kagwe. And so we'll be looking at that, following up closely. Another story captured on the front page in regards to matters politics. Ruto answers Uhuru battle for Mount Kenya vote. The DP went down there to the Mount Kenya region just to see to it whether he would be able to secure votes or more support from the president's home turf, or what would be looked at as his backyard. What does this mean? The tough talking DP saying that, he was elected alongside President Uhuru Kenyatta and therefore should be allowed to go out there and do what he's rightfully supposed to do. So we'll be discussing this as we proceed forward later on. Time running out for Form 4s to pick courses. That is also in regards to matters education and what awaits Raila in the coastal tour. Another one is Karua new face for BBI's no campaign. So we'll be discussing all this alongside my panelists this morning. What has been captured on the People Daily? I don't know why this one is misbehaving, but all the same, we'll get it here. And we briefly look at what some of these stories speak of. Ruto to Uhuru. State House is not about a tribe. And technically, it doesn't have to be the DP to the president. It's the reality of the matter. And so we'll be looking at details of this as we proceed on in regards to the same. And also a different conversation that is on the People's Daily. Let me try and get a hold of it, and once I do that, I'll be here to take you through briefly what is happening on the roads. Just a sneak preview. And here we are. Yes, as from where it is that we start the central bit of things. Here we are. Let's look at what is happening. This is Thika Road, and as early as now, Thika Road, there's some tenets of traffic starting all the way down as you're headed to town. This is somewhere around Clayworks and coming to this direction. Let's see how it looks like around Kasarani there, Safari Park. You find that traffic now starts building up as you're headed to Garden City Mall. Proceeding down, this is a traffic that builds up. So that means, well, it is not looking all rosy for Thika Road this morning. As you go down, you get to a point where it eases up, but not as such. It's just a slow motion, or so to speak. So the snarl-up is there going all the way down, eases up at around KCA University there, and then gets to build up again at around Utali, as you can see. And then it's a bit too heavy around this area. So Utali is looking so bad this morning, going all the way to Muthaiga, somewhere around the Mathare Mental Hospital, and it is all bad up to Pangani. It is all bad even as you get to the city. So if you're taking Thika Road this morning, you know what it is that you expect. It's not looking all good. Taking Kiambu Road on this other side, also there's some tenets of traffic, but then again it eases up. Well, coming from Kiambu all the way down, there is not much traffic, but then it comes to get a bit clogged up here around Muthaiga as it gets to connect to Thika Road. So if you're taking that direction, you know what it is that you expect this morning. I'm trying to get a hold of places where that, it looks like there's a bit of traffic. Within the city again, as you get inside, yes, there's some tenets of traffic, but then it eases up on these other sides. It's not like that, but this morning, let's get to see what is there on this other direction. State House Road, which is here, is not looking bad this morning. This is Valley Road, is also not as bad. Dentistry Road is looking good this morning. Let's see whether there's anywhere else where we can get worried. Ngong Road, as you can see, is clear to and from town. There's not much of worry along Ngong Road. If you're taking Ngong Road, you need not to worry. It's a bit of tenants somewhere, but well, it's not a cause for alarm at all because it doesn't look as bad as you'd expect Ngong Road to look like. The Southern Bypass is down here, which is also looking good. The Southern Bypass is all clear this morning. So if you're taking that direction, you need not to worry. As you proceed down to the Southern Bypass and you connect to Langata Road, also Langata Road is looking very good this morning. That is to and from town. So no cause for alarm, even as you come to connect yourself right here somewhere around the Nyayo Stadium. And Lusaka Road this morning is all rosy. Let's see what is happening on Mombasa Road. Well, this is Mombasa Road. Some bit of traffic as you get to connect to the roundabout, but then again, from down here, let's see whether there is cause for alarm. Yes, somewhere around Imara Daima, this side of Cabanas is where you get traffic. Actually, it's pretty much heavy down here. Let's see, from Syokimau, Gateway Mall, here we are. Yes, Gateway Mall all the way down Syokimau, so much traffic in Mombasa Road or at Mombasa Road. And so when you take that direction, you know what to expect. Goes all the way to Imara Daima, and then it eases up a bit as you get to connect to these other sides. So if you're taking Mombasa Road, you know what it is that you expect this morning. To evade traffic, you can take a different direction. Enterprise is looking all good this morning, so no cause for alarm. Same applies to Lunga Lunga on this other side, and the likes of Likoni Road is looking so good this morning. So why not if you're taking those directions or that direction? Dropping down from Lunga Lunga, all these sides to Outer Ring. Let's see how Outer Ring looks like. And here we are. Outer Ring is not so bad this morning to and from the sides of Thika Road. There's not much cause for alarm. This is around Manyanja Road, Donholm. You realize there's not much of traffic there. And so if you're taking Outer Ring, unless you come to connect to these sides of Kangundo Road, is where you get some bit of traffic, but not looking so ugly this morning. These sides of Komarok all the way, as you get to connect to Rumor Flats and all that. Not so much of traffic this morning. So if you're taking that direction, you know that you need not to worry. That's where around Thika Road, that's where we said there's some bit of traffic. Ridgeways Road is not looking so bad. The Northern Bypass is very much okay this morning. Kiambu Road is equally not bad this morning. Same applies to Limuru Road around here. Limuru Road is looking all rosy this morning, so you need not to worry if taking those directions. And also these sides of Kinora, Kikuyu, also not so bad. Westlands area is where you get some bit of traffic somewhere around, but it eases up also. This one right here is around Juja Road. Juja Road is not so bad. Right here we are. You need not to worry if you're taking Juja Road. This is the connection to Thika Road. So if you're taking that direction, you know what it is that you expect this morning. So I'll be here to update you accordingly as and when all this information hits our desk. But as of now, that's all you need to know about what's happening on the roads. Wayaki is also not so bad. ABC Place, James Gishuru, all looking good this morning. No cause for alarm. So aside from that, it is important that we also look at what my team has in store for you, and that's what we'll pick up right now. Deputy President William Ruto took his Hustler campaign to President Uhuru Kenyatta's Mount Kenya backyard. That must have been on Sunday, where he called on residents to support his presidential bid ahead of next year's polls, accompanied by several leaders allied to his Tanga Tanga faction within the government. Ruto has said he is better suited to finish the job he had and President Kenyatta began, or he and President Kenyatta began, while slamming leaders out to spoil the government's track record, as David Muthoka tells us.
With the political drumbeats rapidly gaining momentum ahead of next year's general elections, Deputy President William Ruto took his Hustler campaign to Gatanga Sunday, a region that is perceived to be President Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard. Accompanied by several leaders allied to him, Ruto began his tour of Gatanga at the AIPCA church in Gatura before making afternoon stops in Dakaine, Ndunyuchege and Mukarara.
Naona hurubaro iko hapa. Hii hurubaro, tunataka kutumia hii hurubaro kukumbusha wale ya kwamba kazi ni kazi. Ama ni aje? Tuko pamoja? Na kwa hivyo wakati mimi niko hapa Gatanga, niko kwa wadosi wangu walioniajiri kazi.
In his charm offensive to the residents, Ruto called on them to back his bid for presidency, insisting that he is not only the right candidate for the job, but also better suited to complete the agenda of the current regime.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta akikamilisha nafasi yake, sisi ambao tumebaki tutahakikisha ya kwamba tunatimiza ile ahadi na ile mpango tulikuwa naye.
Roho yetu na watu wa Murang'a tuko katika hasla.
Naona Mungu ametuma huko hawa jamaa wametawanyika mara 7. Unasikia Joho anaongea hii, Kingi anaongea hii, wengine wanaongea ile, lakini hasla anapita hapo katikati na pwani itaingia katika taifa la nini? La hasla.
And just a day after Ruto stated that the BBI bill was not a priority for the country, the second in command said that it is only a matter of when, not if, the country will put the ongoing constitutional review behind and focus on other issues affecting wananchi.
Hapa katikati wanatusumbua, wanalete fitina, wanalete ukorofi, wengine wanalete matusi.
Tunawaambiwa tujiepushe na tujiathari na watu wanaounda sheria za kuwakandamiza maskini.
Wacheni kutupush. Sisi hatuchezi mpira yenu. Endeleeni na BBI yenu. Mutagoja hii team. This team is busy.
The leaders also scoffed at a recent meeting at State House involving President Uhuru Kenyatta and leaders Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, Charity Ngilu, Moses Wetangula, as well as Gideon Moi, that followed the BBI bill triumph at the county assemblies. While urging the Sikhs to prepare for battle, the Tanga leaders have stated the keys to State House are no longer at the house on the hill, but with the electorate.
Na hata kama wanataka kusubua rais mambo ya endorsement, asisubuliwe na wanaume 6, wakae wasikizane, watoe moja aende kwa rais atafuta endorsement. Sasa rais ataendorse nani? Kalonzo ndio huyu anakuja asubuhi, Musalia anakuja saa 4, Raila anakuja usiku, Gilu ako pale, si wanasubua rais?
So wakati pia tulichagua Uhuru 2013, tulijua 2022 tutapatia huyu William Ruto. Sasa anataka turudi tena kwa kitanda tulale tuote tena, na sisi ni watu busy. We are busy people. Tuko busy kwa mashamba, tuko busy kwa mabiashara. We cannot waste all our time changing decisions every day.
Ruto's campaigns have recently come under sharp criticism from his boss President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has regularly accused his deputy of running his own agenda at the expense of their joint goals. David Mudhoka, TV47.
Still on politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga has criticized Deputy President William Ruto for failing to openly oppose the BBI Bridges Initiative Amendment Bill. Odinga accused the Deputy President and his allies of being cowards for not declaring their stand, even as the document continued to gain popularity across the country. The former premier, who was in Busia County, also dismissed Ruto's hustlers versus dynasty narrative, further hinting that the race to the house on the hill would be between the DP and himself.
Busia County was a beehive of activities as ODM leaders crisscrossed the county campaigning for the BBI Amendment Bill 2020. ODM leader Raila Odinga attended a church service at the St. Stephen's Luanya Catholic Church, after which he lashed out at Deputy President William Ruto and his allies for failing to take an open stand of rejecting the document.
Walisema ya kwamba wao wanapinga BBI, ati wanasema hawataki BBI wakati huu. Sasa tunaona kama wameanza kuogopa. Nasema wanasema no pale, sisi tuseme yes, tukurane na wewe kwa debe.
The ODM leader further tackled the issue now being perceived as a possible coalition headed by him as the flag bearer to take on the DP head-on come 2022, hinting that the race to the House on the Hill would be a two-horse race.
Upande wengine nasema tio watu wengine wanafanya mkutano na nini. Hapana, mtu anaweza kuogopa. Na kama ruti hiyo nataka elimu. Mnaogopa wewe? Mnaogopa wewe? Mnaogopa wewe? Tulikutana naye ana kwa ana. Tukutana naye kwa debe. Wewe unasema tukutana naye kwa debe ni
He also dismissed the Hustler dynasty narrative by Ruto and his allies, terming them baseless, adding that the DP was not to be trusted as the head of state owing to failed promises to the people of Kenya during their campaigns that saw him and President Uhuru Kenyatta clinch power. The ongoing bitter divorce between the former Prime Minister and his co-principals of the NASA coalition did not go unmentioned. Raila dismissed the issue as bygones. Raila is expected to begin his 5-day tour of the coast region Monday. Ruth Mulandi, TV 47.
After a humiliating defeat in Gotv and Lakeview ward by-elections, now the Jubilee Party is determined to clinch the London and Hellgate wards by-elections in the coming week. However, the party is facing stiff competition from their UDA counterparts, who have hit the ground running to popularize the new party ran by Deputy President Ruto's foot soldiers now in Nakuru's London ward. The Jubilee Party has been accused of voter bribery as the campaigns reach the home stretch. Mwangi Maina reports.
It is this video recorded using a mobile phone at an undated time and place showing a man donned in a red Jubilee Party t-shirt with a shouting inscription, Francis Njoroge for MCA London Ward. Njoroge is a Jubilee Party flag bearer in the hotly contested by-election that has attracted 16 candidates. Back to the video. The man is holding a lump sum amount of money, possibly a 100 shillings note, and giving 4 notes to each electorate. That is 400 Kenya shillings to ostensibly influence the voters' decision to vote in Njoroge. The video causing a fuss on social media, especially with the sighting of police officers and Jubilee's Nakuru West MP Samuel Arama in the vicinity. A week ago, police violently disrupted a meeting by UDA members in London that was to popularize their candidate in the ward. Police lobbed tear gas, forcing the meeting led by Nakuru Senator Susan Keheka to abort. After a humiliating defeat in Gaturi and Lakeview wards by little-known parties friendly to the United Democratic Alliance, the Jubilee Party is determined to secure victory. The Jubilee candidate can now smile after ODM candidate Stephen Ocheng withdrew from the race on the favor of his Jubilee counterpart, but Ocheng claims he was not consulted. The by-elections are significant to the two parties, going for each other's jugular ahead of the referendum in the offing. The parties are deemed to be using the outcomes of the by-elections to weigh their political muscles at the grassroots levels. Mwangi Maina, TV 47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Maina, for that report. Barely a week after Deputy President William Ruto and his brigade led an onslaught in Gideon Moi's backyard, the county chairman on Sunday led his brigade to Baringa North at Kabarchonjo to popularize the BBI, franked by Party Secretary General Nick Salat, former Eldamar Ravine, a Member of Parliament Musa Sirima, and Baringa woman Representative Gladwell Cheriot. The Baringa senator said Rift Valley politics will change and warned the people of Baringa to shun when he said that divisive politics spearheaded by Deputy President William Ruto and his allies. He said the people of Baringa cannot afford to be out of the government after the 2022 elections.
tusitusiane. Tusitusiane, tuheshimiane. Kama ni mheshimiwa senata leo, tumheshimu. Kama ni mheshimiwa Raila kesho, tumheshimu. Kama ni mheshimiwa Deputy President William Ruto, tuheshimu. Kama ni mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, tumheshimu. Tuheshimiane.
That is a very big message kuforma statement kwa niaba ya viongozi wengi Kenya hii. Hiyo ni kuambia nini? Mkae chonjo.
MCS, lakini wananchi bado wako na time yao ya kuamua. So hatujawaamulia. Wananchi bado wako na wakati wao na watapata nafasi ya kuamua wakati kura itaenda kupigwa. So si tunaambia tu wananchi, chukueni jukumu ni lenu, mtapigia BBI vile msome na mupige.
All right, on that very note, it's time now that we take a short break. We'll be coming back with the discussion, and we have also much in regards to what has been captured on the papers after this.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these days only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikwambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea.
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya Siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting Word of the Day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these days only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikwambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea.
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya Siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madhenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just by
Home of Untold Stories.
Welcome back to the broadcast. We briefly look at what has been captured on the papers alongside John Kagusha, who's the Speaker in Nyeri County today. He finds himself into the studio and we're grateful for that. Dr. Isili Simiu, Member of Parliament Tongaran, who will be joining us shortly from now, and Dr. Barak Muluka, who's a communications advisor, was equally in studio this morning. Gentlemen, karibu sana. It's always a pleasure to have you every other Monday of the week as we look forward to an incredible one ahead. And so much is culminating, or so much has culminated in the world of politics. And so we need to expound on that. But away from it, it is fair that we also look at what is happening, in regards to news across. And well, matters education, very important. Matters health, very important. Some of these stories have been captured on the papers, and sure, we'll be looking at that as the guiding factor. The Daily Nation, or the front page of the Daily Nation right here. And we look at the key stories on matters examinations and how these are crises, or what has been termed as a crisis of missing candidates. Where are they? Hundreds of students will not write their KCPE or KCAC. Those are the national examinations, because they dropped out of school at the 11th hour. Head teachers cannot account for those who failed to report back in October. Story captured on page 8 and 9 of the Daily Nation. And as CS Magoha would equally say, it was not possible to get official numbers of missing candidates from the Education Ministry. Gentlemen. Honorable Kagusha. Yes, you can go first.
I was just wondering if Professor Magoha is not able to get the details
the numbers
from the Education Ministry.
Right.
And he's the overall officer in charge of that ministry. Then where should we look?
That's the question. And then it gets us wondering whether should we even bank on what it is that they say, that indeed they're missing candidates, if at all the numbers are not as clear. But as it's well put, from that level of the ministry, yes, but it is even unfortunate to note that at the level of schools, we still are not able to get the numbers. I mean, I would not want to assume that a school is so huge that the head teachers cannot be able to get these numbers.
Yeah, what I know is that in all the schools, a directive was given when the schools opened back in January, and all the chiefs and the provincial administration were supposed to together with the education officers and the head teachers, were supposed to give a record of all the students who reported back and those who did not. And they were meant to account for all those students who did not report back. Yeah. As far as I can remember, I did check with my village, about 4 or 5 schools, and the reporting back was well over 99%. Yeah. At first, the first 1 week, the people who reported back, or the pupils who reported back, was the percentage was about 92, 93, 94 in different schools. But by the time we were through with the second week, the reporting back was well over 99%. Yeah. So I'm not very sure which candidates then are missing. I don't know whether the case is different in other schools, apart from what I have personally experienced in our areas. And I don't know, and I don't understand why the cabinet secretary in charge of education doesn't have those numbers either, because then he should have those numbers. You see, we have an intelligence system that is well established in Kenya. Yeah. And we also have a proper provincial administration system that, as much as it does concentrate on other things, I think education and health are very key and very important. Yeah. So we expect that as we move on our education, our provincial administration, our NIS should put their best foot forward to get information to the government on matters education, on matters health. Remember the issue of contact tracing when the whole issue of COVID-19 started in Kenya? The way sometimes we experienced difficulties in tracing people who are considered to be infected or spreaders. If the intelligence system was used properly, maybe in the country, we would be able to get these numbers very fast. And with that, then we'll be talking about this number of missing candidates. Otherwise, I don't know why there is a screaming headline in the Daily Nation if we don't have numbers as well.
Right. Okay, well, speaking of which, every other paper has a detailed story on matters education. That is what the Daily Nation speaks about. Well, the Standard newspaper on the other side speaks of time running out for Form 4s to pick courses. That has been captured extensively on page 12. I would not, be able to probably understand or contemplate what this would mean. And then the question then would be what really informs this. And on the other side, the People Daily speaks of classes that do not have teachers. Mystery of schools without teachers. That is also a story that has been captured on page 8 of the People Daily. Then the biggest question would be, what informs all these delays? What informs all these discrepancies that we witness today? Just what bedevils the education sector?
I think I'll take an informed shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Every area, every discipline, in my view, should be left to professionals. There are people who are trained in education. They are teachers, basically at the first cognitive level. When you interact or when you meet them, they are teachers.
Right.
But they are also the same people who should run or manage education. When you go and take a urologist from his laboratories, and you take him to the Ministry of Education, and he tends to be an individual with certain draconian, certain dictatorial tendencies, someone who doesn't listen to other people. When he arrives, people are supposed to be afraid, to be intimidated. Then either they are going to sabotage him by just not doing what they are supposed to be doing, or they are going to feel intimidated to the extent that they are not able to do what they are supposed to be doing. When people go to university or to teacher training colleges, they are not just taught the subjects that they are going to be teaching in class.
Yeah.
They are also trained in educational leadership, educational psychology, educational management, and running educational institutions. And those are the people you see eventually becoming educational administrators at the grassroots level. Some of them become advisors in the old days of teachers' advisory centers, what we used to call TAC tutors. From there, you have got divisional education officers, district education officers, provincial education officers, inspectors. Then there's the inspectorate. These things that we are talking about, the inspectorate within the Ministry of Education, it should be able to tell us what is happening. I think these days they call it quality control or something along those lines. Then you go all the way up to the very top, and they are all professionals.
Hold it right there, Doctor. Are you trying to say that the watch of Magoha is that bad?
It's not just
in comparison to also those that have been there before, that equally were not professionals, so to speak, and maybe their watch was termed as what played out so well?
The derogation has been perpetual. It has not started
with Magoha. All right.
There have been others before him. But earlier on, in the earlier years, educational management belonged to educational professionals.
Experts.
Everything, Linda, should be left in the hands of professionals. Where you are seated there, you are a professional journalist. That's why you are there.
Right.
Even things like drinking beer should be left to professionals.
Right. Hold it right there. At what point, I know you've expounded so well, probably giving us an overview of what would make someone be termed as a professional. Melio Kipsang has been there for quite a while, and many argued that he is well conversant with the education system in the country. But we saw what happened the other day after that reshuffle, and Belio got himself into a different docket. I mean, would we expect more of tighter ramifications that would come along with this?
Well, I may not necessarily agree with Daktari on the issue of professionals in certain areas being the managers of that particular area. And I would want to refer to Ministry of Health, which finds itself in a tight corner because it has had professionals managing most of their affairs. You have doctors managing the provincial general hospitals, the county hospitals now, or the referral hospitals. And we haven't had much improvement in terms of services because professionals are managing that area, especially doctors who are professionals. And I saw something last week. I think there was an amendment to the Health Act, which was being debated in the National Assembly, which was presented by the majority leader, Amos Kimunya. And it intends to water down that issue of professionalism, something which I somehow agree with. I saw something, for example, like instead of having clinical officers managing level 3 hospitals and Dr. Nemos, that management be left to managers. So that you have someone who has done business management, a law degree, master's, can now manage a level 4 hospital and even a level 5, rather than to have the doctors being the ones to manage, and hopefully then have doctors maybe then go back to the hospitals to be able to treat people, and then you have the managers managing. So I think the same case would also apply even in the education sector. We not always have to have educationists managing the system. I think what we need to have is experienced people who also listen, people who consult, people who depend so much on scientific research. And I think if Magoha probably was to listen more than talk more, if he was to temper his temperament and his personality with scientific research on how to manage Ministry of Education, I think he would still make a good manager just as much. Yeah, but I also agree with Daktari here that Magoha hasn't shown the best of him in this docket.
All right.
He did well at the University of Nairobi as a manager of that institution, in my view, but that has not necessarily come out so well in the education docket. And I think it can be blamed more on his temperament. He came with the thinking and the ambition and the vision like probably what Matiang'i had, and he wanted to be wielding a sword and a stick to the teachers and to the managers of institutions and to the education sector, something which may not have been received so well. If, for example, even you have to look at this particular issue that we were looking at, why is it that we don't have those numbers open to the public as to how many candidates we don't have in schools? It is definitely not because we don't have the numbers. We have the numbers. But what is happening? The minister or the CS gives directives that no one should talk to the media.
All right.
No one should disclose that information to the media.
Speaker, for a long time we've been talking about a reshuffle, or so to speak. I remember at some point in time also the conversation was rife that we should have technocrats, as CSs to handle certain dockets, and something that over time has been challenged. Look at countries like Zimbabwe, just looking after that watch of Mugabe, then came in Mnangagwa and, incorporated one person in the docket of finance who was considered to be, a renowned, economist, a specialist for that matter. But if you look at their their economy. It is dwindling by the day. There is crisis day in, day out. So when we talk about having technocrats, is it really something that really holds water? And as of now, is it time then that the president considers a reshuffle, Doctor?
You see, it is a question of having professionals, I restate, because they understand how that profession functions.
Okay.
And then it's a question of creating an enabling environment for them. For instance, if you look at education, there's a way in which it works. It has got its infrastructure, it has got regulations, it has got its traditions and practices all over the world. When we talk about temperaments, the first thing about education is learning how to manage yourself, how to contain yourself. And these people we have seen in our classrooms, teachers, the first thing they learn is to contain themselves because they come across very many disturbing and annoying things. But they learn to keep their cool, they learn to listen, as Mr. Speaker says here, and it's because they have been taken through it. Educational psychology, child psychology, group dynamics, which they have probably not taught you at the School of Medicine. And when you come out, even in terms of managing hospitals, for example, the best persons to manage hospitals will be doctors. These doctors, however, should also undergo some training in management and leadership. And if it's a hospital which is also established as a business entity, they also must learn some basics of business. They must learn some basics of accounts and accounting, people management, people skills. Then they are able to do the right things. Beyond that, they must have an enabling environment. We hear about doctors in this country every so often going on strike. And they say it's because the equipment, the facilities that they need in order to do their work, to serve their patients and the public are not there. And it is because the people who are at the top do not understand how that environment is supposed to function. So when we talk about reshuffles, if it's going to be a reshuffle of placing square pegs in round holes, it will still not work. And if it's also a reshuffle, as we do in this country, of rewarding people who are seen to be your buddies, your cronies from your community. Look at the CS James Macharia the other day, making 3 appointments, all of them from his village, all of them from his family. What kind of discipline and delivery do you expect those people to make?
Minimal.
They can't.
All right. Okay. Well, on that note, that is in regards to matters education. We take a quick break. We'll be coming back with what is happening in the world of health, and then we cross over to the discussion in regards to the politics of the day and the state of the nation after this break.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these just only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikuambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea?
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther. Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madhenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these days only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikuambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea.
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madhenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these days only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikuambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea.
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madhenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these drills only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikwambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea.
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya Siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting Home of Untold Stories.
Welcome back. Let's proceed with the papers. Still with me, Honorable John Kagusha, Speaker, Nyeri County, Dr. Barak Moluka, Communications Advisor, and Dr. Eseli Simiu, Member of Parliament, Tongaren, has joined us. And now, gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time. Mheshimiwa, good to have you this morning. Karibu sana. All right, yes, you can use that microphone meanwhile. And so before we close on the papers, one of the key stories, most of the key stories that we have this morning what will be forming the basis of our conversation. And so we can as well get into that, but not before we discuss the coming in of the vaccine that is set to get to the country tomorrow. Hope at last as COVID-19 jobs land in 24 hours. And with the drugs expected tomorrow, priority will be given to healthcare workers, teachers, security officers, and vulnerable persons. A story captured on page 5 of the People Daily, and equally on the front pages of these other newspapers. The vaccine is here finally, Speaker.
Vaccine is here, and I think one of the things we expect to hear from the Minister of Health or the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Health is about the efficacy of this vaccine.
Yeah.
It's about the local tests by our own professionals. I am of the school of thought that we do not need to, or we're not supposed to embrace the vaccine 100% before it has been taken through our own testing facilities. We have scientists. Let them also be able to look at the efficacy of this vaccine. Let us also be able to see if it works for us, if it works also with our DNA here in Kenya, and if it is likely to have any side effects. Yeah, so I think that is one of the things that Kenyans would also be very keen on, apart from the availability. But having now received the information and the good news about the availability of the vaccine in Kenya, I think is still something to celebrate about, because if this is going to help us now kind of get back to our normal lives, I think it's something that we need to celebrate as a country.
Right.
And the distribution of the vaccine again also ought to be informed by need, as we probably get more and more vaccines to the country. For now, we need to stick to the arrangement that has already been announced to the public, such that people who are in the health sector, people who are on the first line of helping us fight the COVID-19 are the ones then who are going to get this vaccine on a priority basis.
Right.
Yeah, and it's our hope that this vaccine does not get its way into Tanzania. Yeah, indeed. Because as Kenyans, we get very disappointed when we receive goods that are supposed to come and help Kenyans, and then we hear that they have been diverted at the airport.
Yeah.
How can that happen without the knowledge of the government?
True.
How can that happen without the knowledge of the the top dogs in the Ministry of Health. It really is very amazing in Kenya that some of those things can happen without the knowledge of the senior officials. So we expect that Kenyans will be protected from those cartels. And these cartels are known, they exist. They have done us a very great injustice in the Ministry of Health. We know what happened in KEMSA, we know what happened even with the managed equipment services, which of course the other day, curiously and rather suspiciously, was cleared by Senate. And of course, many people know what may have happened in the Senate when this was happening.
Let me loop in Daktari on this one. Daktari, even before we get to that, there's an interesting story there in regards to matters education, because it's education that we're looking at on the front page of the Standard newspaper that speaks of a scenario where teachers are now demanding more allowances for dealing with rowdy students. And maybe the training aspect that you were talking about now comes in handy in regards to this, but we drop that one for now. I guess you would say Speaker and I have celebrated too early when we argue that the vaccine is here. It is set to hit the country tomorrow, but then again we cross fingers that indeed they'll not be diverted for that matter.
I saw a senior health official yesterday saying that they will arrive at 5 minutes after midnight tomorrow. And the logistics were very precise, where the vaccines will be taken somewhere in Kitengela. After a couple of days, they should be everywhere else where they're supposed to be in the country. And there seems to be a very clear regime about how they are going to be put to application, who is going to be involved. And I do hope, like Speaker Kagusha is saying, that we do not hear some of those usual stories. Dr. Eseli Simiyu is in the habit of telling us that we are a kleptocracy, a nation that believes in theft. And you know, when you say we are a kleptocracy, you are saying that it's a government led by thieves. We steal everything. We steal exams, we steal elections, we steal money, we steal graves. There's nothing we don't steal, and therefore the fears that are being expressed here are legitimate.
Dr. Iseli, we said we expounded toward a kakitocracy, or what was that?
Kakistocracy.
Can you use the microphone, sir?
It's Barack who introduced the kakistocracy, but which I tend to agree with him. But I would say that as a medical doctor, from that perspective of this vaccine, first I would say that congratulations to the scientists that within such a short time they were able to come up with a form of vaccine. It might not be as effective as we would expect, but I'm sure research is still going on to come up with a better, more effective vaccine. But given the kind of thing that COVID is, then those kinds of viruses mutate very fast, and therefore continuous research on what type of vaccine will be effective where and when is important, because if you take the flu vaccine, for example, it keeps on changing, so that the vaccine that you get this year might not be the same vaccine you get the following year, and this virus falls in the same category. So I would like to tell Kenyans that to know that yes, a vaccine is available, but it's bound not to be 100% effective, and it might need frequent changes. And that's, to me, a wake-up call to the government that we need to invest more in our research institutions, and they should also be equipped to be able to produce vaccines, because this sort of vaccine will be changing frequently. We'll need newer versions coming on the scene, and we can't always be importing. It might be cheaper for us to make it for ourselves, but that needs substantial investment in institutions like KEMRI. And I think it's a wake-up call to our government that they need to put more money into research and development. So we should invest more in KEMRI if anything came to Parliament showing that we are putting a lot of billions in Kemri for research and development of such a vaccine, I would definitely support that. Because unfortunately for healthcare, many of our leaders don't understand the importance of healthcare. Because they would like to put up roads, huge buildings, huge projects, physical projects, so they are seen to be working. They don't know that investing in health, while you might not see it as a road, you might not see it something that will be labeled, opened by so-and-so, or the whatever foundation stone laid by so-and-so, which will be in perpetuity. But in healthcare, you won't get such a thing. But definitely, the investment in healthcare will eventually be seen in the productivity of the nation's people. Because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And many leaders have not realized that, right from the county governors to the national government. So this vaccine, yes, is coming, but it's not, how do I put it? It's not a one-off solution. It's a beginning, and we need to continue investing in it, because the vaccine that will be effective this year might not be effective next year, because the virus will mutate. So we need to keep on investing in it, and that's the truth that we need to face. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to invest more in our scientists. We need to invest more in our researchers. We need to invest more in those institutions that deal with that. And of course, for those that don't deal with that, we need to invest more in our institution like KIPRA, Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis, because it also helps. But for us, for a while now, we've not been relying on such institutions, and it's unfortunate. Yes, we'll clap and say hallelujah, the vaccine is here, but rest assured by next year we'll need a different sort of vaccine.
Okay. All right, well, let's drop that one for now, because well, it's a conversation that is developing, and we'll be here to keep you up to tabs, because we'll be having our team on ground following up on the same. Gentlemen, let's get to the discussion of the day, because we have a couple of things that we'll be looking at, but all this revolve around the matters of politics. And the other day, that is on Monday last week, we had you here. We're looking forward to Super Tuesday, which actually played out, and the conversation on matters BBI, over time is taking different directions, so to speak. Had conversations with people the other time, and the argument was that we might actually not even need a referendum, and so we'll be getting into understanding just what way or what next for the BBI. And so coming to you, Speaker, your county assembly gave it a clean bill of health. A lot of allegations in regards to whether this was a genuine move or not. Claims of bribery are here. Does it make you feel proud? And do you feel like indeed the members of county assembly were genuine to have given this bill a clean bill of health, so to speak?
Well, I may not have had genuinometer.
You are the speaker. I mean,
to be able to measure how genuine and how not genuine some of them may have been. Yeah. But what I can say is that I'm very proud of our assembly, because we did open the floor for everyone. I know in some areas there could have been concerted efforts not to do that, but in Nyeri County Assembly we did open the floor for everyone to make their contribution. We had those who supported, we had those who did not support. The only thing is that those who did not support were fewer, much less than those who did support. And we had a very interesting and lively debate where we gave everyone an opportunity. And I remember one particular MCA trying to disrupt one of those who were not supporting when they were on the floor, and we actually had to send them out for a couple of minutes so that everyone could get an opportunity to express their opinion and their view. And of course, the Nyeri MCs did express their opinion, most of them really supporting the issue of the allocation of resources more to devolution or to devolved units. A lot of them talking about the one man, one vote, one shilling approach, that is embraced in the BBI. So those are some of the things that the MCAs did raise. I know the issue of bribery comes up because of the issue of the car grant, and I think the issue of the car grant to the members of county assembly, I don't think really that would count so much in terms of the BBI, because they were looking for this allocation for quite some time. The process had been ongoing for so long, and for them, they were only satisfied and happy that they were listened to, and eventually this well-deserved facilitation came by. Of course, the taxman news is also hanging now on the members of county assembly with the claims of taxes that are supposed to be paid, which has also hurt the members of county assembly badly, and we hope that something can be done for them to definitely be exempted from that kind of a tax, since this really a grant. I know Dr. Eseli here, I know when they were given their car grants, they did not go through that process of again taking it back to the same government. You know, in this case where members of county assembly are being given with one hand and is being taken with the other hand. But nevertheless, the issue of building bridges initiative in the Nyeri County Assembly is something that we did open and objectively allowed everyone to make their contribution. I think that is, as a speaker, really, that gives me pride that we allowed everyone to have their opportunity and their say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As Dr. reacts to that, I'd equally want to pose this question. We have seen that Right Honorable Raila Odinga has constantly pushed on the DP side to come out and declare their stand as to whether they are no or yes in regards to matters BBI, or what exactly it is that they feel about the BBI. In a way, they have done that, but then it's not quite clear whether it's a no for them. Why is this, desire for, a camp that speaks over no? Why is there so much desire for that? And why does it have to be, a no from the DP side? I mean, is a no from Martha Karua not as good that there has to be so much push that is being mated upon the Tanga side? Doctor?
There are two doctors here.
Yeah,
Doctor of medicine.
Doctor of medicine and doctor of
philosophy.
Philosophy. All right.
Yeah. First, I think the BBI thing is a foregone conclusion.
Yes.
We shouldn't even be spending more money on it.
Right.
Wherever it is that the money is coming from, maybe that is a conversation that this country will have some other day.
Yeah.
We need to have it sorted out once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
We will live with the consequences, whatever they will be, good or bad, and we need to take this country through that phase. As a citizen of this country and a keen observer of the social and political landscape, I'm concerned about what seems to be a deliberate attempt to whip up sentiment through creation of what you call that camp and this camp, and pitting them in hostile competition against one another. Someone is probably thinking that that is the best way to start moving towards an election, that you have camps that are mutually hostile to one another. And since both the former Prime Minister and the Deputy President have indicated that they are going to be running for the highest office in the country, that the best way to do that is then to become confrontational this early. You do the sort of thing that we saw in 2005, that there is a constitutional referendum, and that one alliance then morphs into a political formation. And these things are being said every day in the open, that this will become an alliance of the seven brothers, and that eventually they are the people who should form government. You know, it's the sort of thing that I see children doing. Kids, when they are watching a football match, one can say, this is my team, and they can force the other team on you, and they tell you, and speaker, this is yours. Yeah, whether you like it or not, you lead that one. Okay. If I have said I don't want to be the one to lead, then no, I may have certain things that I don't agree with in that whole package, and I will not stop talking about them. Yeah. But you cannot tell me that you must be the one to lead the no campaign. Gideon Moi came out a lot more constructively, and I don't know whether it was him alone or it was their collective decision in State House, when he said that having reached here, we urge everyone to come and join us so that together we can move this thing the rest of the way and emerge from it a united country. That is what a leader does. A leader doesn't tell people, stay where you are. Don't change your mind. Yeah. Don't even try to come this way. Not that anybody is trying to go that way, in my view. But we want to meet you at the debate. There's a certain kind of almost childish bravado. And it's this kind of childish bravado that led the country to the chaos that we saw in 2008. And I just do hope that the ICC is watching over this country, the things that are happening. Forget about NCIC. That one is a dead horse.
Oh no, you cannot say that. All right, but wait a minute before we come to Dr. Eseli Simiyu. In a scenario where it's almost evident that, you know, as a leader or, you know, as a team, you have decided to call on this person to, you know, just shift to this other side, and there's evidence, you know, or evident resistance that is being seen, what then do you do? Is it not fair that you just tell them, okay, then take that stance, take that side, acknowledging the fact that this person enjoys quite huge support, and therefore there is need that he tells his supporters or she tells her supporters that this is the way to go? Before I said before Dr. Eseli Simiyu comes in, so please, Dr. Barak, we're still on you.
You see, Martha Karua, and you can see here,
yes,
even the viewers can see, Martha Karua has said that she's going to lead this campaign.
Right.
And the democratic space does not have to define itself in black and white. There are gray spaces, there are gray areas. And I can say that this is where I am on this matter. Previously, while there was still scope for conversation, I said, let us talk a little more about certain areas. I'm still not satisfied about those areas, but I cannot have it my way. I have had my say. And if I've had my say and the majority are having it their way, they don't also have to tell me that I must go into position 7 and become the leader of the no campaign. Right. What is this thirst, this almost hunger that we are seeing some people craving for hostile competition? Because the things that they say about each other, and here it doesn't really matter whether it is the DP who is speaking or it is the former Prime Minister who is speaking. The things that they say about each other are frightening. Yeah, they are frightful things. This is how chaos build up, how they snowball over a period of time. And if you are going to have those hostile competitions in the lead up to the referendum, which I'm told is coming in the month of June, and after that you hit the ground, moving towards the election 2022, my friend, the temperatures will be so high that even without any effort from anywhere, the country will burst into a fireball. We don't need that as a country.
Indeed, God forbid, as they would say. Honorable Eseli Simiyu, Last week, we saw the president meeting political parties, or the leaders of a certain political parties. Well, you would explain why Wafula Wamunyinyi was not there, but then again, we'd want to assume that yes, Ford Kenya was represented fully also to speak. Does it speak of a scenario where, a certain group is uniting against one or two, as has been purported, and as such utterances, what indeed we need to be scared about?
First, I'll dispose of that one quickly.
Yeah.
Wamunyinyi not being present is simply because he was already convinced on BBI and the handshake long ago.
The microphone.
So,
sorry.
Wamunyinyi not being present is explainable. He was already convinced on BBI and handshake long ago.
Okay.
So he didn't need to go to State House to be convinced.
Okay.
He has always been that.
Was Raila
Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta were convincing the others, because these others have been sitting on the fence and sometimes hitting on BBI from time immemorial. So that is explainable to me. And I think if you really look at it objectively, that's what it is. Because these fellows, Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, Kalonzo, had always questioned a bit, and they were very uncomfortable about
Gideon Moi.
I think Gideon Moi must have joined Raila and Uhuru to convince the others.
We allow him to get away with that.
They had been very, very questioning about BBI and handshake and so on. There are those who had felt they were left out of the handshake.
So why didn't Wamunyinyi join Raila?
Join Raila and Uhuru
to convince.
Wamunyinyi was bereaved, and he had gone to arrange for his brother's funeral, which was postponed after that. But so it was not necessary for him to be there. But these other ones had to be convinced, and you know how they have to be convinced. Sometimes the convincing has to be financial, especially where Weta is involved. However, that's a
very serious allegation.
That's it.
That's very serious.
Can I go on with you said that the DP enjoys so much support, and I keep on saying that sometimes what is said does not necessarily reflect what is on the ground. So you need to distinguish between enjoys or buys a lot of support on the ground. You need to distinguish those. And then the other thing is this BBI, whether Parliament passes or doesn't, it still goes to a referendum. But from Parliament, it will go to the President before the President tells the IEBC to conduct a referendum. And by the time the President tells IEBC to conduct a referendum, his people, his experts will go through that BBI and tease out what needs to go to referendum and what doesn't need to go to referendum. So perhaps by the time we get to the referendum stage, the question might have been reduced much more. Well, that's my speculation. But I would say that there's been a lot of lies bandied around about BBI and so on. And while the main people banding around these lies have been the Deputy President's people. And I think what they have done is what we shall say, give a dog a bad name and hang it. So after they have done what they have done, they don't need to come out now and lead the no, because they have done enough damage, and they believe that the damage they have done is good enough to fail the BBI at the referendum. Because I'm sure the Speaker will tell you, when you go on the ground, many of those MCAs who might have voted yes, but they oppose it on the ground, you'll find them still talking and saying, we don't support this. So they are hoping that, yes, while the counties might pass it, they are hoping to defeat it at the referendum stage without necessarily coming out to show that they are actually opposing. You know, that's what some people call support. So these are people who are very well versed in doublespeak. You know, they speak with from both sides of their mouths. So you can't quite trust them. And that's actually what Kenyans should know, that if they vote in the DP as the next president, that's what they'll expect for the first 5 years. he will speak from both sides of the mouth, and you will never know whether you're going or coming.
All right. Okay, well.
That has been his nature throughout.
All right.
Now, with this BBI thing, I think what the DP was avoiding was that he can convince even his MCS, by the way, to vote yes. Because he's avoiding an early defeat. Because if he had suffered an early defeat at the county assemblies, that would have dealt a mortal blow to his team. So strategically, he avoids that by maybe even convincing some of his own MCAs to vote yes. Because I know in my county, those people who oppose were actually seen with the MCAs convincing them to vote yes.
But I mean, is it not what we've really advocated for? The fact that we can have this conversation, without focusing much on political affiliations. And in this sense, then, if you look at this document, if you look at this bill as something that would be progressive and would be good for the common Mwananchi, that in as much as you are on this side, it is only fair that you proceed
I think what you need to realize is, and I said this over the weekend, Kenya is a young democracy. And being a young democracy, we should be ready to keep on changing here, changing there, tinkering here, tinkering there, till we get it right. Because apart from being a young democracy, we are also a multi-ethnic society whose ethnicity has been brought out so fiercely. So to overcome that, it will take time. Kenya has remained as one, and it will remain as one. As leaders, we must be ready to tinker with our laws, our constitution, our way of life as much as possible, so that we can get it right. Last night I was watching some program where people were talking about bride price, for example, and some were castigating it as retrogressive, as what, without looking at the cultural aspect of it. There's a cultural aspect of it that justifies it. But unless we actually internalize these things. So back to the BBI. You've seen all these lies. Like some have been throwing lies around that BBI will introduce the issue of MCAs must have degrees before they stand for election. It's not in the BBI. That's the elections law. And it was supposed to have been effective in 2017, but Parliament sat down and postponed it to 2022. So now we've reached 2022. People have to make up their mind. Is that what we want? I personally don't support that, because I don't believe that a degree is a vaccination against idiocy and stupidity. I've seen many people with degrees who are so idiotic. You can't, So a degree is not a vaccination against that. And in fact, when we insist on that, then we just give the River Road people more business to create papers for people to go and run in certain offices. And then like the MCS car grant, for example, this has been a long simmering thing. And for me, I can say it because I've not sworn anything about government secrets. But when MCS met His Excellency the President one time, the President granted them the vehicle grant. Unfortunately, one of the leaders of the MCAs said that no, if it's not 2 million, 1.5, we don't want. And the president said, oh, you don't want? Thank you, I need the money. and that's how they lost it. So it's something that has been simmering for a long time. And the issue of taxing them doesn't arise, because the way the car grant is granted, at least in Parliament where I come from, you don't get the cash. You decide where you are buying the car, and the Parliament pays directly, so that the taxes are paid by whoever is selling you the car, the VAT and so on and so forth. So unless these guys are insisting on the money going into their account, then that can be a problem. But if really they're using the grant to buy a car, then the money from the assembly goes directly to the seller of the car, and the issue of taxes doesn't really arise. Then the issue like of constituencies and BBI. Somebody is saying that, oh, even without BBI, by the law, after 10 years, IEBC is supposed to review boundaries. But remember, Kenyans had been saying that, no, we have too many constituencies already. So that's why we needed to get a referendum on this, a general consensus on this. So I think what we need to do is that we need to realize that a lot of opposition to the BBI has been purely political. And the DP and his people now trying to pull out of it is just a camouflage.
Well,
Because
the argument too is that they're pulling
against
out because they have this feeling that, you know, or they have a strong conviction that, I mean, this after all will sail through. Probably picking up from what it is that Dr. Barak speaks of, you know, he says that we should not even focus much on this because it's almost cast in stone that the document will sail through. Is it fair for us to argue that way? No, acknowledging the fact that, you know, this goes to the people, if at all it will, and then the people have the say. And equally with such conversations that we're having right now, you know, would be instrumental for them to make candid, you know, decisions as to whether they should sail the document through or no. Don't you think it's only fair that we keep talking so that people can as well make decision based on, you know, the information that is there? Because a majority, honestly, will tell you they have probably not had a chance to go through the document.
Yeah, well, I will answer that question, but before then, it's unfair to let the comment by Dr. Eseli go scot-free.
Okay.
No, not so much on MCAs, but on the visit to the State House. You know, I mean, you can't just explain using the kind of explanation that Daktari has given here.
Yes. As to why
that the president and the former prime minister and Gideon Moi were in State House to convince Ngilu, to convince Kalonzo, to convince Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula. And the reason why Wafula Munyi was not there is because he was converted earlier on. Really, I think that would be very subjective. That would be very subjective.
Wait a minute. Allow me. It's not in my practice to interject. But this is too much. Mheshimiwa Eseli Simiyu says that these people went to State House to be convinced. And then he says, especially where Weta is concerned, and he gives the rider and money is involved. Are you getting it? That these people went to State House to be bribed?
To be bribed.
They went?
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't matter.
Well, there's bad blood. Well, that is evident.
Forget about the blood. I will assume there's none.
Yeah.
Because I know Mheshimiwa Eseli Simiyu to be a noble gentleman, and he must know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I have known him over a long period of time, since the 1970s when he was a student at Nairobi School. And I have known him to be somebody to be trusted. So, and he was in Nairobi School in the 1970s.
Yeah.
That's how long I have known him. So when he says that somebody went to State House to be convinced and that there was money involved, then I must start wondering why State House would want to use money to convince the NASA principals to support the referendum. And I would want to wonder whose money it is.
Yes.
And I would want to wonder beyond that, why this thing that is so good needs inducement all the time. Speaker here has spoken about the car grant to the MCS, and which he justifies.
Yes.
And I must understand the human factors behind that justification. Speaker, without imputation of ill motive on your part. The timing. This sense of timing is completely wrong. Things must be seen within the environments in which they are done. And I would invite you to challenge my noble friend of more than 40 years to substantiate how much money was involved, how much was Wetangula given.
Because then again we could castigate him, but he has facts.
Did His Excellency the President hand it over to him personally? Has it been wired to an account?
It's good. I'll take on the challenge.
Yes.
I think it's good that my colleagues have raised, at least they took note of what I said.
Yes.
One, which is very important, that they took note, and I think they have seen the sense in it, and that's why they have come out to question. But the truth of the matter is, any campaign involves money. Any campaign for that matter, including the referendum campaign, even getting the counties to say yes, although this meeting was happening after the counties had said yes. So all those things involve money. So when I say that where money is involved, I was not necessarily pointing out singularly about
the exchange.
Senator Wetangula. I was just saying that especially where, because I've known that. And I think what happens here, what happens here is that the truth of the matter is, if you go back since the handshake, you will realize that these people, one, questioned the handshake and they felt they'd been left out. These people questioned even the BBI when it first came out.
Yes.
If you remember, one time Musalia and the DP were speaking from the same script about having to change some things in the BBI, reaching compromise and things like those. So indeed, it's true that quite a number of them opposed the handshake, opposed the BBI. But I said when they questioned it, I said that come the swearing in that birthed the handshake and the BBI, Wamunyinyi was present at Uhuru Park.
Okay.
So for him, he didn't need any convincing. He was convinced from the word go.
Well,
yes. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, I know it's uncomfortable for people to hear this, but it's true. He didn't need any further convincing.
Okay.
Because if you take Bungoma County, for example, Wamunyinyi has been all over in support of the BBI and the handshake from the word go. So he didn't need any convincing. But if you go to Bungoma, you'll find that the MCAs that are on the Wetangula support line have been rubbishing the BBI for a very long time now. In fact, they speak from the same script with the DP's people. So it's Wetangula who needed convincing.
So that he could go convince his people.
So that he can now, he had convinced, they voted yes, but now he needed convincing so that he can go and convince them further to go on the ground and support it.
Well, I think
that's one person who needed a lot of convincing.
All right.
I think, and Kenyans are very creative. You know, I saw people describe the 7 men who were in State House. And someone had gone back to the Bible, 1 Samuel 16. We have to read from verse 1 all the way to around verse 10. And someone was saying that, and then Samuel walked to Jesse's home to anoint a king. And Jesse asked the 7 sons, including Eliab and the rest, to pass in front. And then out of the 7 sons, none of them was found to be worth of the anointing. And then Samuel asked, are these all your sons? And Jesse said, no, there is the youngest who is tending sheep in the field. And then Samuel asked, then bring him over. And when he comes, then David finds this is the one who is supposed to be anointed. Could that have been Wafula Wamunyinyi? Maybe. who was not present
or
and was tending sheep in the field.
Who could this be, Dr. Barak? Who could this be? Who is playing who in this case? Because supporters of Baba have equally come out to tell him, you know what, you need to stay woke. In this case, then, amongst the 7, there's literally nobody that stands out. So who is this one that is out there?
Since Charity Ngilu was there,
yes,
and she's taken as an honorary male, I must assume that it was Martha Karua.
And then, well, it remains a game of assumption and speculations until time is right.
Yeah, it seems like the 7 were there, but there is one who was tending the fish. The
DP says that he's out here, he's doing what he is supposed to do constitutionally. He says, stop castigating me, stop questioning me. I was elected alongside President Uhuru Kenyatta. A tough talking DP out here. Why now?
You know, we have had tough talking deputy second in command before, because when you have killed the opposition, and the opposition now sounds increasingly like government, then that message which the opposition represents will find its way in a corner within the government within the ruling party.
All right.
That is why after the amendments of 1964-65 and the crossing over of Kadu and the others into Kanu, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who was the vice president of Kenya, became the leader of opposition. And he was leading that opposition from inside government. And in the proper order of time, when you had now muzzled opposition completely, including detaining people and whatnot, that voice still remained there. It will still find a platform. And this time now it was doing its work from what you'd call a little opposition corner within KANU, what Charles Njonjo called the six bearded sisters. So for the time being, it's going to play it out around the DP, whether we like it or not. He's actually playing the role that should be played by the opposition. And surprisingly, you have opposition leaders, some in parliament and others outside, and they are telling the DP, oh, you are not respecting the president. Where in the world do you see such things happening? Here in Kenya a few years ago, when Vice President George Saitoti could no longer see eye to eye with President Moi, the people in the opposition, Mwai Kibaki, Michael Wamalwa Kijana, Charity Ngilu, they said, come and work with us from where we are so that we can remove this bad government. That is the natural flow of things. But this country is full of deceit. People are not able to look at phenomena, to look at things in the eye and call them by their name. So to use the notion of doublespeak that my good friend, whom we go back many years ago, has raised, you have somebody going to cavort and hobnob with the president in State House. Then the next day you find him somewhere in the stumps criticizing the same president, the same government. It is not right. You need to be in a situation where you allow the opposition to be the opposition, and when you're the opposition, you become the opposition. In a sense, you can say the same of the DP, that he's in government and he's also firing at the same government. When I look at what is going on, I see a DP who knows mbaya. It is bad, and therefore I will steadily say what I think must be said, and I will wait for them to do their worst whenever it is that the time comes for them to do their worst. And these things that they keep telling me, resign, I will not, because I was elected with the president. There are some votes which he got, which he would not have got if my name had not been on that ticket. And so if they want to eject me, let them use legal means to get rid of me. And after they have gotten rid of me, I will cross that bridge and take the next decision.
All right.
Yeah, well, to be truthful, the meeting in State House really was not about people being initiated into BBI. It was not at all. In fact, it was about a review of what had happened in the Super Tuesday, and the party leaders, so to say, had gone to celebrate and thank the county assemblies for having passed the BBI, and but much more. It was about show of might. It was supposed to show that all the political heads from across all the other political divide are together and they are standing as one.
Another alliance in the making?
Yeah, and at some point Gideon Moi has hinted to that, talking about Super Bullet Alliance. And this really was supposed to be kind of a climax of the fact that 42 county assemblies had voted for the BBI from across the country, and then showing like the country is united for BBI. And then we have these top leaders who have come again together to show that the BBI has support also from the higher political class.
The president has worked with the DP in the toughest of terrains. Why is it that it's becoming hard for him to convince him to probably support this document at this point? I mean, if he speaks of a scenario where he seeks to achieve peace, that this is a document that speaks of peace, yet the DP side sort of feels like it's being segregated in this particular scenario. It is a huge undoing, don't you think so?
In the power politics, you disguise as much as possible.
Okay.
There's nothing about peace in the BBI. It is much more of a document also to help us manage the transitional politics of 2022. And that's why the issue of show of might is important, at least for optics reasons. It was very important. You also saw the members of parliament coming together, I think about 30, 40 of them, saying that now they're starting the campaigns this week for referendum. I mean, all these would be to kind of try and show might and try to show that now this is the way we are going, and to show that the DP is losing traction and all that. And it is not in the interest of anyone in that group of 7 to have the DP join the bandwagon. It is in the interest especially of Raila Odinga to have the DP, and as he has said as much, to have the DP opposing and leading the no campaign. And it's clear to everyone that the BBI process will terminate successfully, to the favor of the BBI.
Okay.
And because that is so clear, then one would also want to...
why would you term it so clear?
No, I mean, right from the word go, we have not had a proper counter narrative being led by a force to reckon with in the country, because the DP avoided.
Why should it revolve around individuals? Why should it revolve around the force to reckon?
It's politics, and in politics you convince as many people as follow you and as they listen to you. So in this case, the DP right from the word go refused to go that route. He refused to lead the no campaigns. And the group that brings itself as the campaigners of the no campaign, or the leaders of the no campaign, is it the Katiba?
Linda
Katimba, yeah, led by Mother Karua and the activist Mwangi, Boniface Mwangi. I think really they are what we would call in politics the underdogs now. They are not powerful in terms of the narrative, and they wouldn't be either. So the fact that now we don't have anyone with a very serious narrative against the BBI, it means that the BBI will kind of sail through without that much opposition.
Why should it be about that as opposed to substance? Let's allow Dr. Isili to come in, or you had to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to complete that statement and say that really is what was happening in State House. Just to give it an objective analysis, that's what was happening in State House. It was just a show of might, and it is the hope of that group of 7 that the DP actually remains on the other side. Why? So that if in case the BBI goes through, then one can be able to shine and say, we have been able to put you down. And in fact, you will see a lot of that rhetoric coming. I'm just doing this for our viewer who may probably want to understand what is really happening, and genuinely so. Yeah, so you are likely to see a lot of that rhetoric of trying to push the Tanga movement more into the no, as this other side is more into the yes. So that eventually then you can have a winner and a loser, which Tanga has also been very keen to avoid. They have kind of, if you look at the way they behave, they have kind of said, no, we are not going to lead that. And if you look at the way they are doing it, they are concentrating more in campaigns for the by-elections that are almost, that are happening now in Kabuchai, in Matungu, is it Matungu?
Yes, Matungu.
And London Ward, and I think Makueni. Yeah, so you find that they are more into that than much into the BBI issue. If you look at the issue of even what happened in the county assemblies, there was really not much investment by that group in terms of preventing the county assemblies from bringing down the BBI. In fact, even the members of members of parliament who tried to campaign against MCAs getting 2 million very soon realized that that campaign was not taking them anywhere, and they actually now got off that bus.
So this aside.
Yeah. So
that's
that's what is happening.
Dr.
I think those who think that the DP is a fool are wrong. He's a very, very smart politician.
Okay.
That one, I'll give him that. And he knows what to do where. And when he doesn't know what to do where, he goes underground until the whatever passes, then he resurfaces. So here, what we are saying is that the DP knows very well the cost of funding the no. He did it in 2010.
Okay.
So he knows, because the DP by there has never supported any constitutional change. Commit 205, commit 2010, and even now with the BBI, he has never supported any constitutional change. So he's a very, very extreme conservative. That's what people should know. And he's just being smart. He knows the cost of the no campaign, so he's avoiding that cost because he knows he has a heavier cost next year.
Okay.
So why spend money now? And what he has done is now he has set his fellows free. His fellows are really on the ground campaigning against the BBI at any meeting, any chance that they get. But publicly, he says he doesn't care about that. That's not the issue. But I think what happened here is simply that he was asked not to get the country into the campaign mode so early, to allow the president to finish his whatever, so that, for example, if he had taken the advice, now is probably when he would be starting to campaign. But he insisted on going on with his campaign.
But of what impact would that be? Because remember what it is that he was told. William Kafogo reminds him that you cannot get much from this side. You have to go out there.
Yeah, but it's true. But I think, to me, he set a very dangerous precedent for this country. He set a precedent that shows that any deputy president who comes after him is free to defy his boss, which is a very dangerous precedent for this country. And if he ever becomes president and his deputy defies him, he has got no leg to stand on to castigate his deputy.
He's moved around a couple of times, and the president has cemented that by saying that, if you see him moving around, just know he's working under me. So why?
No, the thing is, as I told you, the DP is a very, very smart politician. So he coils words around to justify what he's doing, and so that you forget about what it really is. But to me, my only fear with that is that he has set a very dangerous precedent.
Hold it right there.
Because the BBI is not changing that part of the president and deputy being on the same ticket. So the deputy will be part of the presidency. So they will be married at the hip forever, since it's not been changed at all. Even the BBI is not anticipating changing that. So we are setting a very dangerous precedent. And I think, if I recall, the president had asked him to go slow on the national campaigns to allow him to deliver whatever he was trying to deliver. But the deputy president defied him, which is a very dangerous precedent.
Hold it. Mheshimiwa, allow us to take a quick break, and then we come back.
Before, as we finish,
yes.
And he has won this badge of his humble beginnings, okay? That even anybody from down there can make it, which for a young democracy like Kenya, everybody has come from down there.
Can you call it, since you have allowed us to continue,
everybody has come from down there.
We are being patient.
And then criminalize anybody who appears to have been born from a better off background. We
are being patient.
Which is unfortunate.
In that case, well, you win. I'll allow you to come in.
Because I not finished. Because I said that he is criminalizing anybody who appears to have been born from a better off background, regardless of whether that better off background was because of hard work or whatever, just the way he says he has worked hard. So everybody should criminalize his progeny, that they should not look for leadership. That's what he's telling us. So wearing a humble background as a badge, as an entitlement to better things, I think is the wrong way to go about it. Because
Dr.
many people in this country, being a young democracy, a newly independent country, most of the people below 60 came from that background.
We are going to ask you to bring a bell.
Okay, so that at least we can be ringing that, yes?
Or a whistle in the future.
I can do that. I will do that, actually.
Which would be good. First, Dr. Eseli Simiyu should decide whether we are a young democracy or a young kleptocracy.
Or a young kakistocracy.
Or a young kakistocracy. And having defined what we are, we have the conversations within those prisms. But I want to agree with Dr. Eseli Simiyu that all our backgrounds are noble, that there are very few Kenyans whom you would say were born with the silver spoon in their mouths. And then suddenly we see that some people are massively wealthy. What we refuse to talk about is old money.
Yeah.
That there are people in this country who are beneficiaries of old money. And put very plainly, it was stolen money. There's no way someone can be in any state office between the period 1963 and the 70s, and they already own 1/8 of the arable land in the country. They have to tell us where they got it. And I keep saying we need honest and candid conversations on these things. There are thieves calling other people thieves. There are people who are inheritors of stolen wealth, and which we need to talk about the same way we talk about new money. If you are a beneficiary of what is stolen, and if you are handling stolen goods, you are guilty. In fact, you are worse than the person who committed the original sin. And we need to deal with these people, all of them.
Slow wheels of justice
New ones,
that we have.
Old ones, we must deal with all of them.
This how?
That we are
You're
not
opening
going,
a Pandora's box.
It must be opened.
Okay.
This thing which we call the TJRC has been sitting in Parliament for how many years, Doctor? You've been in Parliament from the time before.
I don't know if it's still
And well, it was supposed to have been implemented as soon as it was handed over to the president. There was tinkering with the law that said it will become implemented as soon as Parliament has discussed it and given the go-ahead for it to be implemented. That is the Pandora box in this country. It must be dealt with. In this country, we are talking about an alliance, Super 7 alliance. The question is it an alliance of Kenyans or an alliance of who? Is it the kind of alliance that I saw when Mohamed Farah Aidid in Somalia and Siad Barre and Omar, I don't know who, were trying to form their own alliances? We need to know that we are not talking about alliances of warlords or people who could transform into warlords. Who are they representing? Which voices are they representing? Is it an alliance of Kenyans? Are they Kenyans of different shades of political opinion from across Kenyan communities? Or are they people who are presenting themselves as tribal leaders who can also very easily morph into tribal warlords and say that we have zoned off this area? About the constitution, Mheshimiwa says several times, he has used the word, the phrase, a dangerous precedent. And I think we are setting an extremely dangerous precedent if we are going to decide which way our constitution should go based on the temporary passing political competitions of this day and age, that there is the former prime minister on one side and the team that he leads, and there is the sitting deputy president on the other side and the team that he leads, and that you think about where the deputy president is with regard to 2022 and where the former prime minister is, and we make a decision on a constitution that we want to pass to future generations. It is extremely worrying. And remember that some of the changes that we want to make today, in order to vary them, howsoever you wish to vary them, you must go to another constitutional referendum in the future. How I wish it was possible to remove the personalities from these things. Get out the deputy president, throw him in one corner. Get out the former prime minister, put him in another corner, and then just discuss this thing. If it is good, let it go through. If it is bad, but it has some good, let us straighten that which is not good. But to be saying that Ruto is afraid of being defeated and therefore he is now not leading this thing, if it becomes a competition between Ruto and Raila Odinga, or between Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, or between any leaders and combinations and formations of leaders, we are taking this country into a ditch. And if we are lucky, and I use the expression if we are lucky deliberately, we will have another day to come and sit here and ask ourselves what happened.
Wow.
I think we need to,
as we come to a close,
if we talk about old money and whatever, old money was stolen and it's there, but does it justify now the latter day thieves?
No, it doesn't.
The new money.
It
now
doesn't.
To be castigating the old money.
It doesn't.
I mean, you if you live in a glass house, you should not throw stones.
Okay.
But that's what's happening here. Then
it
the TGRC report,
all the thieves.
the TGRC report has been brought out by a number of the political class and commentators as the panacea to everything. My assessment, I read the TGRC report, and my conclusion was it was a timid rendition of the past. It was so timid. If people are scared of such a timid document that they can't bring it for debate in Parliament, it tells you what more is there. Because that when you read that TGRC report, actually it was a very timid rendition of the past. It didn't really come out clearly and hit hard on what needs to be rectified. Then the issue of...
make it brief, sir.
Yes, the issue of tribal chiefs coalescing in State House and so on and so on. I would say that versus the hustlers and dynasty debate, I would say that in a place like where I come from in Western Kenya, the impoverished part of Kenya is Western, in the sense that the poverty levels, they are higher than even in some places you think have been impoverished. So it's a fertile ground to sell this hustler dynasty thing. But because there's no dynasty there. They are all very, so it's a very fertile ground. But we will not allow that kind of deception to mislead the people of Western. Then the key thing on the BBI is this, that actually, when we did the Constitution Review in 2010, everybody, all the views gathered, were about getting a parliamentary system of government. Where did the presidential system come from? It was decided by the people who went to Naivasha. And that included the Deputy President William Ruto, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, Martha Karua, Moses Wetangula. They were all in Naivasha. Nobody in Kenya gave a proposal for a presidential system. So if they could do that, why not bring now the BBI, which will bring back the parliamentary system that the Kenyans wanted?
Right.
Anybody not seeing that is being unfair, because if there was anybody in Kenya who gave a proposal for a presidential system, tell me. But I know nobody did. This was done by those fellows who went to Naivasha, and they need to come out clearly and tell Kenyans who told them that Kenyans wanted a presidential system.
Honorable Kagusha, 30 seconds or so, now that he chewed your time, I'm sorry.
I think the only thing I would like to mention is that, well, the BBI might have very good many things that Kenyans will eventually enjoy. But I also want to say that we need to be a bit more balanced in our approach to the BBI, because we are having a lot of politicians over-promising. These over-promises might be under-delivered once the document is passed. Let us not put our people high, because we don't want to leave them dry eventually. And I've seen, Kenyans, as I said, are very creative. I saw someone complaining about lack of a job and standing somewhere with a placard and saying, if you want to hire a store person or a clerk or a secretary, I'm available. And then someone said, no, those kind of people should be told to wait for BBI. BBI is coming to resolve all those problems, including marital problems, including those who have...
as we close.
So really, I think we need to not to overpromise. Let's just be fair and objective so that we can sell the document, but not put people's hopes where they shouldn't. Let Kenyans know that they still have to continue doing and working hard in their day-to-day businesses, so that then they can be able to make it in life.
Honorable John Kagusha, Speaker, Nyeri County, Dr. Eseli Simiyu, Member of Parliament, Tongaren, and Dr. Barak Muluka, Communications Advisor. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Next time, I will have a bell for sure. You can be rest assured that I will have a bell for us. And next time, I hope we can discuss the opposition within. There's so much that I wanted to ask about that. The opposition within, the merits and demerits. Now that we say historically, this has been happening. Does it help the common mwananchi in any way? Does it help us in having a good government? A question of wait and see as we look forward to that conversation. We close it at now and we cross over to a different one altogether after this break.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these drills only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikwambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Umekuja tu kutembelea?
Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya Siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these drills only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikwambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea. Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya Siri. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all these days only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikuambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea. Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Home of Untold Stories.
Well, many of us would agree that you always want to have the best of teeth sets, or so to speak. You want to have your dental formula looking all good, all beautiful. You know, you're able to afford a smile every other time to at least add, you know, into your days. And so this morning, we just want to give you tips, not necessarily tips actually, you know, crucial pointers as to how best you can, you know, make sure that your teeth is looking good, or your teeth are looking good, or so to speak, and you know you're having the best of it or the best of experience, especially when you are having your meals, you know, whether cold, whether hot, whether warm, because sometimes we always have difficulties, especially with the temperatures, and we'll be having this candid conversation as to the basic things that you need to understand as you keep taking care of your teeth. And joining me for this conversation this morning is Dr. PJ Muriuki, who's a dental surgeon at Riverside Dental Suite, and we'll be discussing demystifying dentistry. It's very important that we have these conversations. We do not want to delve deep into so much. We have a couple of questions from you. And so in that case, I will just allow Daktari to take us through some of these questions, to give us answers to these crucial questions that we received from you, because it is crucial that we get them, and not just get them from anybody, but you know, from a specialist. And so, Daktari, good to have you this morning as we get to this, you know, crucial conversation and key things that have been pinpointed by the people who are watching, and they are eager to hear from you this morning. So one of the key things they discuss is, you know, the oral tumors, or they speak about oral tumors and cancer for that matter. Many would probably argue that they have no idea whether such would happen. So evidently, when someone asks about this, it's because it's in existence. So would you take us through this and just how best one can avoid the same?
Good. Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your viewers. Oral cancer is, or oral tumors is a very wide topic.
Yes.
But I'll try just to summarize, and you can broadly categorize oral cancer into two types. we have what we now call the oral tumors, okay? And then we have the cancer. Cancer, the right word for cancer is actually malignancy. So what causes cancer? Cancer is caused by proliferation of cells, abnormal proliferation of cells in any part of the body. So in this aspect, we are talking about the oral cavity, which includes your lips, your mouth, the lining of your mouth, the tongue, the palate, the teeth, you know, all the way down the throat.
Yeah.
So that is the oral cavity. And in the oral cavity, you can have cancer. And like we said, there are majorly, you can say, two different types, where we have tumors and malignancy. The tumors are what we call benign lesions. Benign meaning wherever the proliferation is happening, let's say if it's on your tongue, that tumor stays there. So it just grows bigger and bigger and bigger. If it's on your jaw, you find your jaw is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, but it is not moving from that side. So that is what we call a benign lesion, meaning it's not moving from that particular place. But we also have now what we call oral cancer proper, or malignancy. This is where abnormal proliferation of the cell starts at a particular point, and then there is a chance of it moving either through the lymph nodes or blood to other areas. Okay. So that's basically how you can categorize the different types of oral tumors. Yes.
Are any ways of one avoiding the same?
Yes. I think that, like any other cancer, the most important point is, you know, early diagnosis. And how do we, you know this kind of things? You know, most of the oral cancer, they start as a small, you know, ulcer in the mouth. Okay, so you find you have an oral ulcer which is not healing. Most of the time, you find within 2 weeks, if you have an oral lesion in the mouth, within 2 weeks it has already healed. But in a case where you find you are having that lesion prolonged, you know, it stays for a very long time without it healing, then it is important that you visit the dentist. Okay. Other signs are, you know, you find some abnormal discoloration in your mouth. Most of them appear as reddish. Sometimes they can appear as a white discoloration. Most of them are usually flat when they are starting, but as time goes by, you find it's getting like an ulceration where you start feeling some pain. So that's one of the things that you can check out for. The other thing is where you find there is abnormal growth, let's say of your jaw, it's becoming bigger. Okay. Other things that we find commonly is you find your tongue, which used to move around the mouth comfortably, you find it's now getting fixated. Okay. Meaning it's not able to move as it used to move before. Some other people present with, you know, swellings inside the mouth. So you can find on the palate you are getting something which is progressively becoming bigger. Okay. There are people who would get pain during swallowing. So you find you used to swallow food normally, and recently you find every time you swallow you're feeling pain. So those are signs and symptoms of cancer. It doesn't mean that there is cancer, but it just prompts you to know that you need to visit a dentist who's going to have a look and will be able to advise you accordingly.
All right, well, another question is on the plastic teeth, which is very common. One cares, how do you get to know that you got the right one? Yes. And you know, even for the old ones or the oldies, is this recommended for the young ones also? And what would inform such?
Yeah. I think when your viewer asked that question about plastic teeth, they meant, if I'm not wrong, because it's a question that I get most of the time. Okay. They meant, you know, when babies are born, some of them, the mothers,
the plastic, mama, so I thought, yes, it happens a lot, and it is very common. I can tell you. You know, I used to hear my mom say that, you know, mtoto amezaliwa meno hizo fake zimekuja, so you have to like sugua so that they disappear. All right.
Actually, that's a very brilliant question, and it's a. And that's why we spoke of demystifying dentistry, because there's a lot of myths around plastic teeth. So what are plastic teeth? Plastic teeth is just, you know, you can categorize them into two.
So they are there?
They are there.
Okay.
But plastic teeth is more of a layman language of explaining what is happening. So we can have, these are basically teeth that babies are born with or come to the mouth within the first at a very early stage.
Yes.
So in the right language, we call them neonatal teeth. Okay. So we can have neonatal teeth or natal teeth. So when it is natal teeth, it means when the baby is born, they are born with that tooth. Okay? And neonatal tooth means it's teeth that come within the first 1 month or 2 months after the child is born. So the child is not born with it, but it comes later. So those are neonatal teeth. And natal teeth are the ones that the child is born with.
Okay.
So now, what causes this? They are caused by, where the tooth bud, because teeth grow like a seed.
Okay.
The way you plant a seed and then it sprouts out. So there is what we call a tooth bud. It is found inside the gum pads, So if these teeth buds are so superficially placed, sometimes you find they erupt earlier. Okay? So when they erupt earlier, that's when either the child is born with the tooth or the tooth comes earlier than normal. Now, the misconception that people have is that, or what they think is that this neonatal and natal teeth or plastic teeth all of them are abnormal and they need to be removed. It is not true. So these plastic teeth, when you find that you have them, what you're supposed to do, even if it is in a hospital setup, they are supposed to call a dentist or a dental surgeon to come and review the baby. The first thing that we normally check is the mobility of the tooth. There are some of them that the baby is born with and they are very, very mobile. So that is a danger because the baby can aspirate the teeth as they are suckling. So for those ones, we have to remove them. But then again, you don't just remove them anyhowly because when the baby is just born, the clotting factors and all other things, vitamin K, you have to put into consideration of that because there is risk of bleeding, a lot of bleeding. So the dentist will be able to check and ascertain whether that tooth needs to be removed. There are others that are there and they are firm. So those then, if they are very firm, those are normal. You just leave them like that and
over time they will?
They'll not come out actually. Most of them, they are just the normal teeth that it's only that the tooth bud was very superficially placed.
So there's nothing that you do in the process, in this process, you just allow them to
if they are firm and they are okay, you allow them to grow. But the other consideration that we normally put is because this baby is breastfeeding. So there are times when the mother will come and start complaining that the baby is really biting on the nipple. And it's a syndrome we call Riga-Fede syndrome, where the baby, as they are feeding, they are really, causing a lot of injury to the nipple. So those are some of the things that we also have to put into consideration on the kind of management that you are going to do. But then there are also other patients who come and they tell you they have plastic teeth and you check, there is nothing. So what is happening is, the gum pad of a baby is very thin and very transparent. And sometimes if you check, you might find there are, small bumps. Those are normal. They just look whitish because, the layer covering them is very, very thin. So it's not a tooth which is there. So the most important thing is before any action is taken, a qualified dental surgeon has to check
to be consulted
and then know what to do. And before we move from that, there is what we call oral mutilation. This is where in some cultures in Kenya, they believe that those plastic teeth have to be removed. So you find they take, it's very prevalent, especially among the Kamba and the
Western region.
Yes, Western region. So where they take the children to their grandparents, grandmothers, to have them removed. And you know what they do? They do that with a hot spoon. You can imagine, and they yank out the tooth pads and
hold it right there.
It is. That's why we call it oral mutilation because it's very painful.
But it works.
No, it doesn't.
All right. Why do you say it doesn't work? We get to learn that after a break. Let's learn that after this short break. Let's learn that after this short break.
cooking, jumping rope, skating, playing indoor games are just but a few of the ways we have fun at Kids on the Block. But that can't be all. We also grow and learn. We have science, spelling, and book reading to sharpen our minds. I, Whitney Dambia, will take you through all this gist only on Kids on the Block every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned.
What is the meaning of this? Huyu ni nani? Huyu ni nani?
The drama continues.
Ruby, mimi nilikuambia kwamba niko tayari kukuchukua wewe ukue bibi yangu.
The secrets intensify.
Unakuja tu kutembelea. Kunitembelea kwa nini? Unanitaka na unataka wafanyikazi wako? Toka.
Who will win Abel's heart between Ruby and Esther? Watch as the drama unfolds. Plan ya siri every Saturday at 8 p.m. Your Sunday afternoon plug is right here.
Wonder how you sleep at night.
We play your favorite jams, not forgetting word of the day.
This is the word that you should live with here today, is that whatsoever you need to do does not come from without, it comes from within you.
To kickstart your week, join MC Madenge and DJ Tabs every Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Cooking, jumping rope.
Welcome back. We are still on Demystifying Dentistry, and with me is dental surgeon from Riverside Dental Suite, Dr. PJ Muriuki, who's taking us through that. Before we went for that break, we were trying to just understand some of the difficulties that mummies go through, or parents go through, or guardians go through, especially at a very tender age. I mean, when they have kids who are way tender, just been born maybe months later, and they start developing this plastic teeth, what is, well, commonly known as plastic teeth. And so we just want to understand how best you can deal with the same. And so, in my own experience, I've constantly had, my mom speak of sugua hiyo kitu ipoteleni, meno fake and all that. But the Terry here says it is not right. So back to you. Why do you argue it is not right?
Like I said, some of these teeth that people call plastic are just normal teeth.
Okay.
So in that aspect, you are damaging a normal tooth. Second thing is the mutilation that goes on, for them to remove. I've already told you what they normally use. So there is definitely risk of infection, because you can imagine it's not like they are wearing gloves or sterilizing those things before they use them. So the risk of infection, and this baby, below 6 months, they have what we call innate immunity. Basically, they rely on the breast milk for their immunity. So any infection would be catastrophic for them. That, we already talked about the bleeding.
Yes.
When babies are at a very early stage, and that's why when they are born, they are injected with vitamin K and all those things, the clotting issue. So you might yank out those things and they bleed, even to death. And off air, I was just telling you, my first case that I saw was when I was doing my internship in Kenyatta. A baby was brought, they had been taken to Kangundo, to a very famous old lady who does that, and they bled. And by the time the baby was coming to us, she was paper white. Yeah, meaning they had lost all the blood, and unfortunately, we lost the baby. So it's a practice which should be really discouraged. It's more like FGM, but now this time in the oral cavity.
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous and should be really avoided. And if you have any concern, you just need to visit a qualified healthcare personnel in the public hospitals, they should be able to advise, because funny thing, some of these myths are also propagated by people out there who call themselves doctors, and mostly quacks. So it is important for people to get information in the right places.
Okay. With these plastic teeth, or if a baby develops them pretty much early and it is dealt with, does it in any way alter the timelines, of course, in terms of growth of these other, teeth that will be considered good?
Not really. In fact, it has no implications in terms of, the future development of the other teeth. But yes, it does if it is removed and it was there was no need for it to be removed. So that can definitely affect the other oncoming teeth. And sometimes in oral mutilation, the way they remove them, they even remove even the permanent tooth bud. So you find when now you grow up, there is a missing tooth, because they removed even the tooth bud for the permanent teeth. Remember, whatever is coming out is the milk tooth.
Yes.
So there is a tooth bud underneath it for the permanent tooth. So if it is also removed, it means you will have some teeth missing in the future.
On several occasions I've had, mommies speak of the scenario, where, the teeth of their children has been probably spoiled by medicine.
Yes.
I mean, taking a lot of medicine. Is that really true? Does it happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are, it's a very common thing. There are some medication that you can take when you are expectant, and they actually affect, the development of the teeth.
Okay.
And also there are medication that the baby themselves can take and affect their teeth. So one example is a medication called tetracycline. So if you take tetracycline, it's an antibiotic. If you take it when you're pregnant, then that definitely will have an implication on the teeth of the baby. It is not more of them becoming decayed, it is them getting discolored. So they look grayish in color. So that, it's called tetracycline staining. The teeth become discolored because of that. But also there is now when the child is born and they have a lot of, probably a health condition, and they have to take a lot of medication. Most of this medication they take are syrups, and they are sweetened, for them to be palatable for the kids to take. So you find that because of that sugar, it can definitely cause the teeth to decay. And also, another thing still related to that is the breast milk. The breast milk also has a lot of lactose, which is a type of a sugar. And when the baby develops teeth, this lactose can really affect those teeth. And this is why I tell parents that the right time to brush your kid is the moment you see the first tooth in that mouth. Okay? So if you don't brush, not really brushing, you can wipe. Just take a cotton or a cotton cloth, and after they finish breastfeeding, just wipe it out.
With a paste?
No, just plain water.
Okay.
Just plain water.
Nowadays you have paste for babies, that's
yeah, but I'm talking of babies who are like
way young.
Yeah, they can't even spit if you use
toothpaste. Yeah.
So just a clean cloth soaked in water, just rub the teeth immediately after they breastfeed, and especially at night. Because what happens is when they are, breastfeeding and then they sleep with some milk left in the mouth, and that's sugar. Plus the bacteria in the mouth, that really damages the teeth. So it's important you wipe them out, and that is also one of the things that cause what we call early childhood caries, where you see a baby has black teeth, brown teeth, all of them destroyed. It's caused by breastfeeding and without wiping, or a baby sleeping with a bottle. There are those who nurse at night.
At night.
Yes, so that milk really destroys the teeth, and it happens to children who are less than 3 years. Yes.
All right. Now that I had confused this with, I don't know whether it is also the right word to use, you will tell me or correct me if I'm wrong, artificial teeth, yeah? Because when this viewer asked of plastic, I almost assumed that, yes, we're talking about the artificial teeth. So let's get to that.
Yes.
In terms of care, in terms of what would warrant for someone to get artificial teeth. And when we talk about teeth replacement, are we talking about getting artificial teeth, or someone getting artificial teeth, or what exactly are we talking about?
Good. So that's a very good question, and again, very, very broad in terms of explanations. So, of course, now we are talking about teeth replacement. This is where you've lost a tooth or all teeth, and you need to have them replaced. So, of course, depending with the number of teeth that you've lost, there can be partial replacement. Okay, where we are replacing a few missing teeth, and then we have complete replacement of those teeth. That's where you have a person who doesn't have any tooth remaining in the mouth. So, broadly speaking, there can be two types. We can have permanent replacement or fixed replacement. That means it's those ones that you can't remove yourself. So we are talking of things like implants, okay? We are talking of things like crown and bridge. So those are fixed. They are fixed such that you cannot be able to remove.
Okay.
Then we have the removable ones. The removable ones are what we commonly refer to as dentures. Okay.
Yes.
So they can be partial, meaning you are just replacing the missing teeth, a few missing teeth, and complete. Complete now is where we see these old elderly parents and grandparents who have absolutely no tooth. And of course, now for them, we have to put a full set of teeth.
Okay.
So both up and for the lower jaw, so that they are able to feed. Yes.
All right. So cleaning and all that, sometimes there's a lot of questions that revolve around that. It's easier with those ones that are removable dentures, because then you're able to clean as you see.
Yes.
But these ones that are fixed permanently,
yes,
how easy is it to clean them? And when we speak about cleaning them, do they function as the normal teeth would? Yeah.
But of course, we always say, for us as dentists, what we try to do is imitate what God gave you.
Okay.
And we always say, if you can save your tooth, that is the best, because whatever else you get cannot match your natural tooth.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, but yes, they do work very well, but of course there is a learning curve. So it doesn't mean that if you are, given today, you'll be able to function as normal. So there is a learning curve, but now once you get used to it, you should be okay. In terms of cleaning, of course, the removable ones are easier to clean because, of course, you remove and clean. The fixed one, we have special brushes that you are able to use for cleaning. And once you do that, then there shouldn't be a problem. So we have special flosses. There is one that we call a water floss. So it's a jet of water that goes in between the prostheses, to clean them up. And also the normal cleaning with a brush should help at least cleaning on the outer surface.
Okay.
But in between, you have to use a special floss to clean them. If you don't, then they start smelling, and you'll have bad breath.
Yes. For the artificial ones, or for the removable ones, after how long should one replace them?
If it is dentures, we normally say around 4 years, 4 to 5 years. But then again, it depends with the patient. There are patients who even stay with them for 10 years and they're still okay. The reason for that is because if it's a complete denture, like the case that we did the other time, in fact, that lady that I helped, now we are replacing.
Okay.
Because this is, I think, 6 years now.
All right.
No, around 5 years now. So you replace because the bone also shrinks. Because remember, they are sitting on the bone. So there is resorption, the normal resorption of the bone. So with time, they become loose.
Okay.
So you need to have them replaced. Now, for the permanent ones, it's basically meant to be permanent. But as you know, there is nothing permanent. So again, it's patient specific. Okay. There are patients who will, do a very good job in terms of maintaining, cleaning them, and always going for yearly checkups. For those ones, they can even sub them over 10 years, going forwards. I've seen some that are even 30 years old because the patient is very clean.
Yeah.
So as much as the dentist can do a very good job, the patient also has a role in maintaining them, and that will determine how long,
she can keep it.
Yes.
Okay. One will get us back to the babies briefly. I know this in a way we could have answered, but I'll ask it all the same because it's been sent by a viewer, and maybe couple it with another question. He asks why young children below 3 years have teeth decay.
Yes.
Or tooth decay.
Yeah.
I think in a way you've touched on that while we're discussing the medicine, but if there's anything more to add, then you can. And I also want to couple this with this question. To what age then should we say that babies should start, I don't know, losing, is it losing? What is the best word to use when we say menu inangoka? I mean, ama kutingika. And there's a scenario where I've been told sometimes for others, you know, it gets to that stage, but they really do not get the shake. So sometimes if as a parent you're not keen, you realize that another teeth or another tooth will start, you know, popping out. And in this case, then it means they struggle.
Yes. Good. So just like we said, for babies, there is what we call, like below 3 years, it's called early childhood caries. Meaning it's the teeth that are decaying, you know, for young children at that age. The most common cause, in fact, that name is also, it has an alias, aka it's called baby bottle disease.
Okay.
Okay, so you can figure out, you know, it's mostly caused by that milk. So you find there are babies who can't sleep if the breast is not in the mouth or a baby bottle. So what happens is now when they sleep, the milk is left covering the teeth. And we say that milk has a lot of sugars, you know. So plus now the bacteria in the mouth, it forms an acid which now starts, you know, destroying the teeth. And most of the time you'll find the teeth that are affected are the top ones. Because for the bottom ones, there is the tongue which keeps wiping them. So the tongue keeps wiping them, and there is a lot of saliva there. But for the top teeth, you find that's where most of the damage happens. So how to avoid it is the moment you see a tooth in the mouth, especially when you're breastfeeding, make sure that you get a clean piece of cloth and be wiping those teeth, especially when you're putting the baby to sleep. Once you do that, you should be okay.
What about the tongue? Because sometimes you find that kids develop this whitish substance, and I mean, for others, it's extremely, you know, chronic.
So for, you know, if it's young kids, you know, that can't brush, again, you can just wipe and make sure they are well hydrated. Like after breastfeeding, they can take water, which should be able to wipe that down. For the others who are at least older, you can brush their tongue. You know, that will help a lot. Yes.
All right.
And about the shaking of the teeth, yes. The actually milk teeth, and this is another misconception that parents have. You know, meno yake iko na shimo atoa tu. Those teeth have functions. God did not just give us those teeth for. They have a function of number one, maintaining space for the permanent teeth. So it's like the way you can tell someone you're going to the movies, you tell them, hey, nishikie kiti. You know? So these teeth are preserving those spaces for the permanent teeth. So what happens is if you lose that tooth before the scheduled time, that space collapses. So when that space collapses, when now the time for that tooth, because every other tooth has a specific time when it's supposed to grow. So if you lose that milk tooth, which was preserving that space earlier, that space collapses. When it collapses and the other tooth is now supposed to come, there's no space and it starts growing combo. And that's when people say, I have a home. You know, there's a tooth which is growing on top of another one. It's because you lost, you know, the tooth that was supposed to maintain that space. The other function of those teeth is nutrition. Because without teeth, you are not able to feed properly. So they are really important and you have to maintain them. Only to be removed when they start shaking. Now, each of those teeth, most babies start shedding off the milk teeth at around 5 to 6 years. There are others, especially girls, who do that earlier. But for boys, most of the time they have what we call delayed exfoliation or delayed eruption. So you find the teeth are not shaking, or it's shaking kidogo and then becomes firm. Shakes kidogo and becomes firm. So in that scenario, what you're supposed to do, if it's within that range, you're just supposed to go and visit a dentist. They'll check and see whether it is, you know, the reason for it not to shake. Most of the time you find it's because the permanent tooth, which is coming down there, and the milk tooth, which is in the mouth, the roots are not aligned. Because what happens is, as this other one is coming up, it eats away the roots of the milk tooth. And that's how it starts shaking. because it's pushing it out.
Up, yeah.
But now if they are not properly aligned and the teeth are, this is the milk tooth, this is the permanent tooth, then it's going to erupt below or behind the other one.
Okay.
And you find that you have the milk teeth here and the permanent teeth behind them. So you need to have them removed professionally. Yes.
Okay, well, that's a good one. I hope you have learned something. Let's talk about filling and root canals.
Yes.
This one is very common.
Yes.
People get confused in between.
Yeah.
But then again, people die for that.
Yes.
Because then you want to literally ziba that thing. And I mean, in this one, you'll allow us to do a lot of Swahili, so at least it's 6. So well, that's the reason why you said home and all that. So at least people can get to understand.
Yes.
So what is the difference between these ones?
Root canal and filling are just a way of managing, a person who has teeth that have cavities. Now, cavities ni mashimo, the ones that are usually in the mouth. So this, before we understand how cavities come about, a tooth as it is, I wish I came with my models, I would demonstrate, but a tooth basically has 3 layers. So the first layer is what we see when you smile. It's called the enamel, the white layer. Then beneath it, it's around 2 to 3 millimeters. Beneath it, we have another layer called dentine. Then at the center of the tooth, there is what we call the pulp or the nerves, where the nerves and the blood vessels are. So the outer layer of the tooth, the enamel, what we see, is usually, in quotes, dead. So it can't feel any pain, okay? The middle layer, what we call dentine, is, again, in quotes, semi-living.
Okay.
It can feel sensations, hot, cold, it can feel. Then the inner layer of the tooth, what we say is the living part of the tooth, is where you have the blood vessels, the nerves, and those arteries and veins and everything. So that's the living part, or the engine of the tooth. So now, when you develop a cavity, of course, because it's developing from the mouth, the first layer to be attacked is the enamel, the outer layer that we see.
Okay.
So when the cavity is starting, you actually can't tell. You can't feel anything.
Okay.
Probably you can see it, but there's no pain. So you say, I knew me, so you just ignore it. These cavities are usually progressive. Actually, the right word is dental caries, or dental decay.
Okay.
So it's a progressive disease.
So dental decay is now the brown color?
It's actually the formation, the process of formation of a cavity.
Of a cavity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the decay now is a disease. Okay. So when the cavity now starts, because it's actually an infection, it's a bacterial infection on the tooth. So it starts on the outer layer. We said it's dead, so you don't feel anything. You just see some discoloration, black, brown. Then it's a progressive disease. So it goes to the middle layer. Okay. So when it gets to the middle layer, we say the middle layer is semi-living. So that's when you start feeling sensitivity. So you take your cup of cold water or hot tea, and you feel there is something. Not really pain, but you feel there is something that is happening there. So that means that cavity is in the dentine.
Yeah.
If you don't have it attended, then it progressively gets now to the center of the tooth. And there is a picture there which is showing, as you can see, the outer layer. Then there is the middle layer, and then the inner layer.
Yes.
So now when the disease is on the outer 2 layers, that's the enamel and the dentine, that is when you can do a filling.
Okay.
Because it means the infection is on those 2 layers, and it has not gotten to the center.
Okay.
Now when you do at that particular time, the diagram is showing us, it's cheaper because it's just a filling that you're doing, But the more you stay without having it sorted out, like we said, it's a progressive disease, it gets now to the nerve.
So the filling protects us from getting down, but then you have to constantly do that.
Yes, so the filling, what we normally do is now, we remove the decayed part. See, more like what they do in a pothole.
Okay.
So they come and remove the pothole and then fill it up. So that's the same thing that we do, but now, of course, with a different material. So we prepare and remove the decayed part and replace it with a filling. Okay, so that's now what we call a filling, but the right word for it is restoration.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's cheaper because it's still in the early stages, and the outcome is more predictable.
Okay.
Now, when you neglect and you don't go to the dentist because you're not feeling pain, now When pain comes, it means the infection has gotten to the center of the tooth. Okay, where we have the nerves, the blood vessels, and all those other things.
Right.
So that's now when all hell breaks loose.
Right.
You can't sleep, you can't function. That is now what we call a toothache. And it is really, really painful. I don't know whether you've ever had a toothache.
You know,
yourself.
I have never had that, but I keep saying this story.
Yes.
That I have literally seen my dad cry.
Yes.
And you know, that is so strange, yeah? Literally seen him shed tears.
Yes.
And then every other time you speak about tooth decay and all that,
Yeah.
I know, I can almost relate.
Yes. So now when it gets to the nerve, that's now when you do a root canal. Okay? So the nerves are found in small tubules called canals. Okay? So what we normally do is we clean out the decay, but we go all the way to the nerves because it means the infection has gotten to the nerves and the nerves are going all the way down to the roots. So you get inside there, of course with specialized machines, and remove the nerves. You're not removing the tooth, it's the nerves. So you disconnect that tooth from the nerve supply.
Okay.
You clean it out nicely, and then now you do a root filling. And finally, where there was decay on the tooth, you do a filling.
Okay.
So that's the difference between a root canal and a filling. And the misconception or the myth is that it's either or. You choose what you want. No. It's actually, it is not your choice. It is actually dependent on the stage of progression of the dental decay.
Okay.
So where it is determines what is going to be done. So it's not an either or kind of situation.
Okay. Yes. All right. We still have very many questions here. For a moment, I want to ask much about braces and at what point you decide that you would want to get braces and all that.
Yeah.
But then time is not on our side. So it is my request that you have time for us some other time because, well, I'd easily say, let's connect you to the people who've asked all these questions. But then I'm thinking all these questions are equally important to everyone, you know, to get to learn and to know all that. So, you know, I'll switch talk to my producer so at least we can have you some other time to expound on this, on braces, you know, safe treatment. We can talk about, you know, fluorosis, which is brown teeth. We'd love to understand some more because there are people who have them and they have no pain in anything, and you know they stay that way for the rest of time. So we need to understand all this and what would cause that and how you'd get to avoid them. So please allow us to do this some other time.
That's okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. PJ Muriuki, dental surgeon, Riverside Dental Sit. And we're all discussing or talking about demystifying dentistry